Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday, the 15th day of September, 2022. I hope this 15th day of this September finds you safe and healthy, and that the same can be said for your family, that they're safe and healthy. And I hope that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day have one goal: to save lives. And those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and parks clean. And those that make deliveries for our convenience that we often take for granted. Double blessings on the men and women that are trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children who are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Also, those that are victims of pornography and child pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery, and double curses on the perpetrators, the perverts, and those profiteers who are out here trafficking in human flesh. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are 600,000 men, women, and children on the streets of the United States nearly, and the numbers are growing as we're now entering a recession. If you are fortunate enough to have a job, to have a roof over your head, to have good health, there are many that don't. Remember them. Blessings upon them. For theirs is the kingdom, along with millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Today's video, I want to discuss the Obadiah Toppin Conundrum. What do I mean by that? Many don't understand. The casual fan may not understand, although I think Knicks Nation, the real strong Knicks Nation totally gets it. So I may be preaching to the choir here. But what do I mean by the Obadiah Toppin or Obi Toppin conundrum? The Knicks drafted Obi Toppin 8th overall in the first round in the 2020 draft. He just finished 2 years. His second year going now into his third season. He was an older draftee because he went to several different colleges. He's a little, some players don't go at the same rate as far as getting through school. So he was a 22-year-old sophomore, at Dayton. He was All-American at Dayton, one of the best players in the country at Dayton his senior year. He is 6'9". He is about 220 pounds, very athletic, long. And in the first 2 years, he's under Tom Thibodeau. His defense in terms of schemes, and this is not unusual for a rookie, he was a little confused. At the end of his first year, he started getting more time. He's talented, very talented, physically, athletically talented. And also, he has a very good IQ as well, as we saw, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But coming 8th overall in the lottery, by Leon Rose, you expected him to play more. But then we had Julius Randle. That was Leon Rose's first draft, 2020. I don't believe he was expecting Julius Randle to show out the way he did. I believe he was trying to prepare to trade Julius Randle. And again, I like to bring up the history. In the spring of 2020, before the draft, the Knicks were putting out through Ian Begley and but Ian Begley being one of the three that I trust, that they were looking for a stretch four. This was after Julius Randle's first year as a Knick. They were looking for a stretch four, which was a signal they were looking for a power forward to replace Julius Randle. That summer was also the summer they hired Tom Thibodeau. Now, of course, we can all see very clearly Monday morning quarterback, that wasn't the right choice if you're trying to build through the draft. But it was done. So Obi's first season was spent in the second unit most of the time, but being pulled often. And he started getting more minutes toward the end of his first year. And Julius Randle, that first year of 2020, 2021, had an All-NBA season. So now you have a problem. You drafted this very talented young man who's now at the end of this season in March. He's going to be 25 years old. Generally, players start to reach their prime at age 26. So you have, depending on the player, their physical condition, the injury history, how long that prime lasts. But generally, it's at least 3 seasons. So it's 26, 27, 28. Sometimes it goes into 30. It could last 5 seasons, depending on the player, if they're taking care of themselves, so on and so forth. I think Obi's is going to last longer because he came into the league at age 22. And that's actually good for his longevity, because sometimes coming in too early is not good for these kids because their bodies is not ready for the NBA grind. That's why you see a lot of them, even this season, get hurt coming into the NBA at age 19, 18, because their bodies are not ready for that grind yet. Obi's is. Which brings us to the problem. Some of us see Obi and we see a dunker. That, and I find that that's a very cursory view. That's like I just looking at you real quick at the side of my eye, make a quick assessment without really studying. A lot of people do that. But when he has gotten time, and the only times that he has gotten real PT has been the summer league, last year's summer league, 2021 summer league, during COVID, and then at the end of last season, the last like 7 games. And every time he has gotten time, he has shown out. Every time. Okay, he's never disappointed. Okay. He has also picked up the defensive schemes. He was a little slow, as again, that's normal for any rookie to pick up NBA level defensive schemes for a couple of reasons. They're very complicated. Number one, they're not as simple as they look. And then number two, it's the speed of the game. The speed of the game is at the highest level in the world. There's no speed of any basketball game as fast as an NBA game. So that takes time to pick up on the defensive end. Some players never get it, but talented ones usually do, and Obi's one of those. So now he's picking that up, or he has picked it up and he's getting better. Okay. So now you have to make a decision. He's really a starter. Some people look at him as a dunker off the bench, and I feel like that's woefully wrong. Not even just close. That's bad. He's way better than that. Okay. I feel like he has all-star talent. Now, some may think I'm overestimating his talent. I think he has all-star ability. Okay. I think he really is a Marty Stoudemire 2.0. He's stat 2.0. Okay. But he hasn't gotten that type of minutes. He hasn't gotten that type of time, and he won't as long as Julius Randle is here. So that brings us to what I call the conundrum. What has to be decided is, do you want Obi Toppin long term, or do you want Julius Randle long term? Really, you got to decide that. And why do you have to make that decision? Because if I'm correct and Obi is all-star level talent needs to start and play heavy minutes. You cannot do that with Julius Randle starting and playing heavy minutes. It doesn't work. Some of us have said, well, let's see if we can play him at the 3. Let's see if we can play Julius at the 5. But Thibodeau has not been happy with the results. And he stated that. He's not happy with the results of having them on the floor together. And really and truly, with any basketball player, one of the basic tenets is not to put them in positions to fail. And one of the ways you put a basketball player in positions to fail is if you play that basketball player out of position. I remember when Bill Cartwright was drafted by the Knicks, and we had Patrick Ewing. The Knicks wanted to keep both of them, obviously, very high-level talented players. So they tried to play Cartwright at the 4. Then they tried to play Ewing at the 4. It failed miserably on both counts. It failed miserably because both of them were 5s. So they ended up trading with the Chicago Bulls and obtaining Charles Oakley for Bill Cartwright because they couldn't keep both of them. Okay. It's the same thing here. Both Julius Randle, who sometimes plays the 5, and Obi Toppin, who can has the agility maybe to play some spot minutes at the 3, but they're really power forwards. That's their position. That's their natural position. If you play them out of position, you're setting them up to fail. So you want to play guys to their strengths. Obi is a 4 and Julius is a 4, plain and simple. Okay. So you have to make a decision. So they signed Julius Randle to an extension, $107 million, 117, whatever it is, a 4-year extension. Obi is now in his 3rd season. Next year is his 4th season. That's extension time for him. Now, I look at all this myself, and I'm looking at Leon Rose. And what do I mean looking at Leon Rose? I'm looking at his habits. Leon Rose, this past draft, traded out of the 11th spot. Why did he trade out of the 11th spot? Because for him and for the Knicks brass, it was either get Jaden Ivey or trade the pick. Now, Many of us didn't like that, right? I would have loved for them to get Tari Eason. So I told y'all that I love Tari Eason late in the first round. I would like to have gotten him, but for them, it was about trading the pick to get more future picks because they weren't going to waste the pick. And that's my point here. Leon Rose does not like waste. I like that. So in other words, he's very judicious with what he does. And that's why we still have Julius Randle, because it has already been shown that the Knicks would not attach a pick to trade him, which tells us that the league in general is saying to the New York Knicks, we will not trade for Julius Randle unless you attach a pick with him. And Leon Rose is saying, I am not giving away a first round pick. Therefore, we're keeping Randle until he proves he is worth more. Because he's not wasting Randle. He's also not wasting Obi. He made the pick. It wasn't a mistake. I know somebody said we could have had Tyrese Halliburton. Yes, we could have. But that doesn't help us now. We got Obi Toppin. That's who we actually have. And Obi is a really talented player. So he's not going to waste Obi either. Now, at the end of the day, my feeling, based on what I just said, the fact that Leon doesn't like to waste picks, he's judicious with it. He gets the most out of the picks that he can get, using Brock Aller and Walt Perrin as between the money and the scouts to get the best that he can with the pick that he has. In this particular case, he turned the number 11 pick into multiple protected picks, first rounders. And I'm telling you, they're going to convey. So he turned the 11th pick into multiple first round picks. Okay, that could be used in the future in another trade or a talent. But he has them. He didn't waste the pick. So now, with that in mind, I feel like he's going to try to build up Julius Randle's value. Julius has never been one to be out of shape. Last year, I considered him out of shape for him. What I mean by that is he's always in shape, but he definitely did not put forth the two-way effort last year that he had put forth in 2020, 2021. He put forth two-way effort like I've never seen him do before or since. So this year he has lost weight. He's slimmer. He's more streamlined. He's definitely, toned up, I should say anyway, not bulky. So I'm expecting him to be more of a two-way guy, especially since you have help now. You have a point guard in Jalen Brunson. You have RJ, who's now moving it to the next level, which I'm looking to be 22 points a game for him. 22, 23 in that area. And then you got, of course, now the rookie, now second year, Quentin Grimes, who I feel is ready also to make a leap. And then you've signed Mitchell Robinson long term, so he's locked up. So you got, and then of course you still got Isaiah Hartenstein off your bench. You still got Emmanuel Quickley off your bench. You got Derrick Rose off your bench, and you may have Evan Fournier off your bench, but you got a strong bench also. So now with that in mind, I brought all that up to say, I don't expect Randle to have to play as many roles in terms of handling the basketball as he has done in the past. Let's give him the excuse and say he had to handle the ball because we didn't have a point guard, because Alec Burks was a point guard last year. Right? So let's say he handled the basketball a lot because Alec Burks was a point guard. I'm giving him that excuse. So let's say now he doesn't have to handle the ball as much. He becomes more efficient and he has more energy on both ends of the floor. Let's also assume, and I think rightly so, that both Jalen and Rick Brunson are going to hold him accountable. He's not going to be able to slough on defense and not have anybody say anything. And if he comes with attitude, well, then they'll have to attach a pick to move him. But I think that they're going to try to get value raised from him so that doesn't have to happen. Therefore, my conclusion is long-term, Obi Toppin is the power forward for the New York Knicks. Just based on what I just said. We're not wasting a pick. Rose ain't giving Randle away, but I think he's not wasting his 8th pick that he picked on Obi either. Therefore, either he gets a first rounder for Obi, unprotected, which probably won't happen at this point, or he's going to keep Obi long term and sell Randall. Because at this point in Obi's third season, let's say Obi comes off the bench this season, and let's say he gets 20 minutes a game as opposed to what he's been getting. I mean, when you look at his career so far, last year he averaged 11 minutes. He averaged 17 minutes a game last year. He averaged 17 minutes a game last year. He started 10 games, averaged 17 minutes a game. He appeared in 72 games last year. He shot 31% from three, which is his career average. But at the end of the year, he was well above 40 when he was getting consistent minutes. So I don't really look at that too heavy. He shot 76% from the line, very solid. He only got 4 rebounds a game, but he's like Amari. He's not a big rebounding guy. He's a more run the floor, athletic finish type of guy, and backdoor type of guy, cut to the basket type of guy. He's not the big rebounder, but that's fine because we got Mitchell Robinson. Okay. And RJ is an excellent rebounder from the 3 spot. And so is Quentin Grimes from the 2 spot. Quentin Grimes was, to me, the best rebounding 2 guard in the nation in his last year at Houston. It's one of his strengths. And so I still think if he's given 30 minutes a game, you're going to see 6, 7, 8 boards from Quentin Grimes on a regular basis because he's a very strong rebounder. So we're not worried about the boards too much. But that being said, Obi averaged 9 points a game last year on the 17 minutes that he played. That's very efficient. And again, I think more minutes gives him more. So I'm looking for Obi's minutes to increase. I'm not sure how that's going to happen because Tibbs likes to play his starters heavy minutes. So I don't even know how he got the 17 that he got last year because, you figure there's 48 minutes in the game. Maybe I do because he plays 48 minutes in the game. You played Randall 31, right? So that leaves Obi 17. So now if you reduce Randall by 3 to 28, that gives Obi 20, right? I think Obi needs 20 minutes in a bigger role this year. And from what Mark Berman reported, that is Tibbs' plan to give Obi an expanded role. But again, how that's going to happen, I don't know. Tibbs is a creature of habit. I've given up thinking he's going to change. He's not going to change. And that being the case, the Knicks' record is going to determine his tenure as head coach. In other words, if they're winning, he'll stay as the head coach. If they're losing, he'll be fired. Because he's inflexible in terms of how he does things. He does it the way he does it. He's not going to change. Okay? So, if it's true, if what Berman, which I think Berman is Tibbs' mouthpiece, if it's true that he's planning on expanding Obi's role, it means reduced minutes for Julius Randle. How Randle handles that, I don't know. But really, they should really split the time 24 minutes apiece. But we'll see. I think that's the best thing to do for everybody. And the reason I say that is because it makes Julius more efficient if he knows that's what he's getting, 24 minutes. And it makes Obi more dynamic because he knows he's getting increased minutes in 24 minutes. And so neither of them will have to be the focal point of the offense. And both of them are rested and can play both sides of the basketball. I'm thinking that's really the option right now. I know that they want to increase. I'm feeling Julius Randle's trade value. I really feel like the Knicks do want to trade him, but Leon ain't giving him away. Okay, he's not just going to give him away. And I hear that. I can understand it. I put it that way. I can understand it because he just like that. I mean, he trades picks to get more picks. This is Leon. He trades picks to get more picks. He's done it the last 2 drafts. He trades picks to get more picks. He gets value late in the first round and in the second round. Okay, that's what he does. And so he doesn't waste anything. Now, has he made mistakes? Some of y'all are quick to point that out. Like, again, I hope somebody judges you the way you judge other people. Oh, he shouldn't have signed Evan. Oh, he shouldn't have signed Kemba Walker. Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, including you. But he's done more good than bad, in my view. And he's made some really slick moves with the draft. And so here the Knicks sit with a plethora of young talent, including an Obi Toppin. And a plethora of number 1 picks. So they're in a really good position right now, which is where we want to be. So there's a conundrum here. And I feel like, I guess what I'm saying is at the end of the day, I still feel like they're going to move Randle. But again, they're not giving him away. And in fact, Ian Begley and Berman have both reported that they're not going to just give Julius Randle away, that they've inquired about trading him last trade deadline last year. And this summer, but when they realized teams would not take him unless they needed to attach a pick, they said, no, we're not going to do that. So now we're going to go into the season with Julius Randle unless something happens like a Phoenix or somebody wants him without attaching a pick. But they're not giving him away. Okay, so they're going to try to increase, I'm saying they're going to try to increase his value and at the same time play Obi more minutes to keep Obi satisfied. Now, next year, let's say Obi plays 24 minutes a game this year. And if he does that, I really feel he'll average double figures, especially with even coming off the bench if he's playing with Jalen Brunson. And of course, we know he has a really good relationship connection-wise on the floor with Emmanuel Quickley, who to me is entrenched. Some of y'all were upset that I didn't mention him yesterday, but I didn't because he's entrenched as Mobb Deep. He's going to be coming off the bench. That's how the Knicks look at him. They do not look at him as a starting point guard. They look at him as a scorer coming off the bench. And that's fine. Okay. So that's his position. He knows what he's going to have. He knows what he's doing. Now, maybe Emmanuel Quickley doesn't like that. And when it's time for his re-up, he looks at another team. That's possible. But for right now, that's his position. Obi plays well with him. Even if he misses Obi sometimes, I think the addition of Jalen Brunson is going to help Emmanuel Quickley's game because he's going to see how Brunson finds Obi because Brunson's going to find him. Just that alone gets Obi 6 points a game just on breaks. That doesn't include if he's hitting his J and his foul shots and all of that. So I'm thinking he gets 6 points just running the floor every game. You know, as long as he's getting his 24 minutes, that's what I'm hoping he's getting. So if you do that and Obi balls out with 24 minutes, he's not going to get $100 million. So now you're kind of saving money. I hate to do that to Obi because that's what I'm thinking. If I'm Obi's rep, that's costing him money. So you might be talking about 70, 80, 60, 70, 80 million with Obi. 60 million? Like a Mitchell Robinson style deal when it's time for his re-up, which is good for the Knicks. It's just not good for Obi. But it is what it is. I think Obi's going to appear to be a late bloomer. Like, in other words, you're going to see him ball out when he's 26, 27, 28. I could see him even being an all-star in those years. Right now, he's playing behind Julius Randle. It's kind of preserving his career and is lowering his value as an asset. But that's just what it is. And Obi ain't complaining. And if he ain't complaining, we're all good, right? Because, you know, I used to have a martial arts instructor and he had this saying, mind over matter. If you don't mind, then it don't matter. And that's the case with Obi. If he don't mind, then it don't matter. All right. And so I think the Knicks are going to keep Obi long term. I believe they will probably sign him at a contract less than 80 million. When it's time for him, and he'll be a starting power forward in a cheap contract, which again provides flexibility for the Knicks to be able to get bigger fish when it's time. So I guess that's the conundrum right now. You're going to have to up Julius's trade value, so you got to play him. But I don't see him playing 30 plus minutes a game because you got to give Obi 20 minutes. So I'm thinking it's going to be a balance in there, and that's on Thibodeau. And again, we're going to see, I'm just going by what Berman said, which to me, I think, again, Berman is Tibbs' mouthpiece. And he said, I'm planning to expand Obi's role and give him more minutes. He has won Thibodeau's trust, is the way Berman said. So let's see if that's true. I hope it is for Obi's sake and for the Knicks. You see, at the end of the day, we want this team to win. And to me, if you play in this position, in this situation, if you play them both 24 minutes a game, you give both of them the opportunity to ball out at a high level without wearing them out. That is Randle and Obi. And so it helps us what? Win more basketball games. That's what we want. Okay. And so, let's see how this plays out, but it looks like we're going to go into camp with Randle. I thought for sure they'd trade him by now, but now understanding, and this is what some of y'all casual fans or willfully ignorant fans don't get. And this is a small amount, y'all. Not most of y'all are totally on point, but this is what y'all don't get. At the beginning of the season, I thought they would trade Randle, first on draft night and then during free agency, but then realizing that nobody wanted him without attaching a first rounder. That's why he's still here. I need y'all to understand that. He's not still here because they're knocking down the door saying, can we have Randle? And the Knicks are saying no. He's still here because they're not going to waste a first round pick to get rid of him. That's why he's still here. And when they increase his value, or they're trying to, then they'll move him. And if he starts acting up, hitting laptops and being selfish and acting a fool with the refs, they'll have to attach the pick to move him. It'll be obvious because he'll be getting booed at MSG. Let me tell you something. There's only one city that matches the Knicks nation at Madison Square Garden in terms of boo power. That's Philadelphia. There's Philly and there's New York. Okay. Boston is probably distant third in this. But when you start getting booed at Madison Square Garden and you're wearing the Knicks uniform, it's hard to play. And if Julius starts acting up, and I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't argue with the refs. I hope he doesn't spend time on one end arguing with the ref while the fast break is on the other end. I hope he doesn't do that. I hope he just plays the game. I hope he accepts his role and plays both sides of the basketball with all his heart. I hope he just gives the maximum effort and does the team thing. I hope he does. Because if he doesn't, he's going to get booed. Especially if Obi's playing ball. And you know Obi gonna bring energy. One thing I can guarantee you without doubt 100%. Obi Toppin's gonna come on the floor with energy. Period. That's gonna happen. Okay? So with him doing that, if Randall starts acting up, you're gonna hear boos. The boo birds will come out at Madison Square Garden. Then they will attach a pick and move him. For his own sake. I hope it doesn't come to that. But we'll see. Knicks Nation, please. Be safe. Enjoy your Thursday. Sure.